Hello and welcome to another WCBL game day. I'm Jamie Neugebauer. Clark is still not here. He will be back eventually, still dealing with his injury situation. We got a doozy though tonight. The Weyburn Beavers host the Swift Current 57s for the third time in 48 hours. We'll speak to the coaches of both teams, Rudy Estrella of Swift Current and Cam Williams of Weyburn, and we have a whole bunch more coming up here on WCBL Game Day. It is a treat to be back on here live from the IKS Media Studios, the glorious ones in Regina. Thank you so much for tuning in. Head-to-head, as I mentioned, these two teams did battle yesterday. That was in Weyburn on a doubleheader. There was a postponement from earlier in the year. That's why there was a doubleheader. We'll get to that there as you see the score recap from yesterday. The two games that you see first, 2-1 win for Swift and a 6-1 win for Weyburn. At the top, Sylvan Lake with a big win over Fort McMurray. That is especially big given the fact that the Okotoks Dogs did beat the Saskatchewan Berries, just handing Saskatchewan their 6th loss of the campaign. Regina with a 12-11 win in Brooks after the fact that Regina was down 11-3 in that game in the 8th inning, and that is WCBL baseball for you. And Moose Jaw with a huge win over Medicine Hat, a huge win. You don't see Medicine Hat beaten like that too much, and I'm sure they'll be looking for revenge. Now let's look at the standings in the WCBL right now. In first place, the Saskatchewan Berries, still with 32-6 is their record, still 8 games ahead of Medicine Hat atop the East Division. Regina 2 games back of them. And then in the West, the Okotoks Dogs, it's much tighter in the West. 2 games ahead of Sylvan Lake, 3 games ahead of Lethbridge, and then the bottom 3 a little bit further off, Energy City, Fort McMurray, and Brooks fill out that bracket as well. Moose Jaw, Weyburn, and Swift Current, the bottom 3 in the East, but it is getting very interesting there at the top between those 3 teams in the West. Now let's look at the hitting leaders in the WCBL and taking a look at them. By batting average, Tyron Dorrance is right up there. Ryan Daphne, the great Weyburn Beaver, he is having a great year. Those are the Weyburn hitters as well. But talking about the batting leaders in the whole league, you know, there's tons of talent. We always talk about it. But, you know, the Lethbridge hitter there, Bernie Sokaris, having a wonderful season. He's with Ethan Menard there at the top, the great catcher for the Saskatchewan Berries. Timo Aracena, Carter Roth, the contact master down there as well. And obviously lots of these guys will be on display in the WCBL All-Star Game this Saturday. And we'll have a full preview show for that moving forward. Now let's go on, moving on to homers. And yes, there will be the home run derby coming up. The Evan Morrison will not be a part of it, but Ethan Menard will be in there. Wilmer Henriquez will be in there. And Tyler Van Este, you know, go down the list. Those guys will be involved in the home run derby as well. But it's been a real bash fest, a lot of dingers this year in the WCBL, and can't wait to see all these guys strut their stuff in Okotoks this weekend. Now let's look at some of the pitching leaders in the WCBL right now. And Regina's Blake Johnson, he has been so dominant all season long. Levi Abbott finally touched up just a little bit, a bit of a tough outing for him to make those numbers a little bit bigger. He was pretty much around zeros for everything that they needed to be, and just still pushing 50 strikeouts, just so dominant. And the lefty from Ontario, Luke Glenn, of course, another all-star performance for him. And there for Fort McMurray, they can really pitch there. Fort McMurray trying to find some offense, but they can pitch. And Luke Glenn is the leader in that category for them. Now let's talk about the teams that are going to do battle here coming up. Swift Current and Weyburn. Swift Current comes into this one 8-30 on the year, 2-8 in their last 10. That doesn't reflect on their ability. They got lots of talent up and down their roster. 5 All-Stars. Look at their batting right now. Pardon me, Wilmer Henriquez and Luis Ayala are both going to be at the All-Star game, as will Silas Hilton. As you take a look at those guys, And yeah, they got some weapons that they have had some marquee wins on the year as well. So certainly worth the price of admission whenever Swift Current's in the game. Let me just get a sip there. And then Swift Current pitching, they got some pieces there as well, of course. You may think about Big Adam Cordy, what a weapon he has been all year, and Rudy Estrella, so happy to have him. I'll talk about him. You see Shunta Furuya, who's going to start here tonight. He's on that list. He throws a lot of strikes, does not walk anybody. That's really his thing. 17 strikeouts to 5 walks on the year for Furuya. Cordy and Bornstein are the two all-stars from this Swift Current list. Now for Weyburn's hitting, we're going to look at it here. Tyron Dorrance, as we mentioned, Ryan Daphne, the person with a lot of records for Weyburn in hitting in the history of the Weyburn Beavers. And Ian Heck right there, the two-way player, also an all-star for this Weyburn team, as you look up on the screen. And again, they've got some guys who have been having wonderful seasons. And then going to Weyburn's pitching, as we take a quick switch along there. There you have it, Ian Heck, two-way player, dominant pitcher, dominant hitter. He's been absolutely fantastic for Weyburn. Logan Kinter and Joe Hart, also all-stars from Weyburn. Logan Kinter and Hart, both relievers. Kinter is sort of their highest leverage guy, and he'll be out in big situations all the time. Ethan Webster, though, gets just his second start of the year as Weyburn looking for a fresh arm to get going here tonight as they look to win the contest tonight. That would be the third game in less than 48 hours between these two teams. They played on June 21st. That was a 25-14 Swift Current win. Talk about that one for the Neutrals. 8-6 on July the 6th. That was a win for Weyburn. So it's all tied up at 2 games apiece for each of these teams as we head into Game 5 between the two here tonight. It has been a great matchup between these two this year, and it'll be great, I'm sure, tonight. I sat down with both coaches. First, Rudy Estrella of the Swift Current 57s and Cam Williams of the Weyburn Beavers, and we have those interviews for you right now. All right, joined by the Swift Current 57s manager, Rudy Estrella. Rudy, thank you so much for your time. 2 games yesterday against Weyburn, and you get them again. You kind of like that little mini series, 3 games in 48 hours?
Yeah, I kind of like it too. We get to see their pitcher, they get to see our pitcher, their bats. Tensions get a little bit high, but overall it's just great series and like great matches between both of us. So can't complain about that. It's just a matter of fact of us sticking up to our role and limiting the big innings pretty much in these 4 games we have against Weyburn.
Yeah, for sure. And, you throw Shunta Furuya onto the mound, and obviously he seems like he's a big-time strike thrower, doesn't walk a lot of guys. What do you like about him in this matchup?
I like that he's actually going to give us a chance right off the bat. He's going to come out and compete and throw strikes like you said. And our hitters just need to stay focused and stay through the plate and come out and swing it. Shunta's gonna work his ass off, I believe, and he's gonna give us a heck of an outing tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously, the results have kind of come and gone, and you guys have been a team that has shown that you can beat anybody, team that, can struggle at times as well against anybody, and I'm sure that's a frustration for you. But I guess what's the key for this, team kind of really turning it around here down the stretch?
Just stay locked in and try to compete pretty much. Just limit the little mental mistakes we've been having lately and the little mental errors. Just what I would say is stick to ourselves and keep competing. It'll show out eventually.
Yeah, for sure. And certainly, I don't need to tell you, you've got the talent in your roster to make some noise. Let's go through some of these all stars. Obviously, I know you're focused on the here and now and today, but Brody Bornstein, Adam Cordy, your pitchers, Luis Ayala and Wilmer Henriquez have been unbelievable all year. And Silas Hilton, of course, terrific, a big time hitter lately, especially. I guess when you look at those five guys, I guess what kind of sticks out to you?
Big pieces to add to the East All Star roster, right? You got Wilmer, that's a big bat, and then you got Luis, where I think with his knowledge and his mindset and the way he plays the game behind the plate, I think he's gonna give us a good shot to go out there and compete against the West. Silas as well, he could be a leadoff. He could be a no matter where you put him, he'll be a threat. Cause just by him getting on base, he could steal bases. He could hit for power, which he's shown a little bit too as well. And he it's for average, puts the ball in play a lot. And when you got a an arm like Cordy coming out the pen or even starting, I feel confident. And with Bornstein, he's a strike getter. He strikes out a lot of people. So those are five big pieces to add to those rosters. I think they'd be a big help for us, and they'll show what they can do and how they can compete in that big stage.
Yeah, you mentioned there 30 strikeouts in 14 games for Brody Bornstein. That's a stat that'll make a coach happy, make a coach look
Yes,
smart.
sir.
Two more questions, Rudy. I really appreciate your time as you get set here for the Weyburn Beavers. And, obviously this league is kind of littered with Latin American players around here and there as well, and including your roster. And obviously you spent time in the Dominican Republic playing. I guess
Yes,
how
sir.
much of a help has it been, for you to, obviously from your own culture and your own background to be able to connect with kind of the Canadian player that you now know through some experience, the American player, or the non-Latin American player, and the Latin American player, being able to kind of speak to them all. How helpful has that been for you?
It's been pretty helpful, honestly. Just me growing up and witnessing that, I always wish I had a that coach that was Duolingo, so I could communicate easier with my teammates and also coaches. But me being like that point of that middleman for those guys, it kind of like gives me an excitement because I want to help and I want to be that guy there for them. And that's one of my main goals, just try to keep a brotherhood together. No matter where you from, I just see everybody as one pretty much. Kind of like as I treat them as my kids, even though I don't have one yet.
Well, fair enough. Hey, as a parent, it's never too early to start practicing. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, sir.
Then a last question for you, Rudy. It's just a real treat to talk to you. So I really appreciate your time. I mean, obviously the Weyburn Beavers and you guys, kind of in a similar spot where you're trying to sort of rise up. But what is the key that you see today? Is it kind of fatigue from yesterday and shaking that off, or seeing it as a new day, or maybe what are you taking from yesterday that you want to take in today and see right away?
Just limit the big innings, and then like I said earlier, just right off the gate, come out swinging. The last couple games, we've been waiting till like the fourth, fifth inning to start scoring and stuff like that. I think if we give our starters a bit of a confidence and get that first run and score first, and then extend the lead, I think that would be a great opportunity for us to get the win today and keep the momentum going to Swift tomorrow.
For sure, yeah, it should be a fun one on the game of the week. Thank you so much for your time on game day, Coach. Really appreciate it, and
Yes,
all
sir.
the best moving forward.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
All right, now joined by Cam Williams, the head coach of the Weyburn Beavers. Cam, thank you so much for your time. How's it going these days?
Things are good. Yeah, things are good. Obviously, doubleheader yesterday, but yeah, no, things are really good. I appreciate you guys having me on and including us in the game of the week this week.
Yeah, no, awesome to have you. Obviously, fifth matchup of the year between these two Saskatchewan base clubs coming up here. So we'll talk about that in a second. But third game in, I guess, 24, 48 hours against the same team. I don't know if that brings you
Yeah.
back to your university sport days or whatever, where you're just trying to shove as many games into 1 or 2 days as possible because of travel. But do you like that? Do you like sort of seeing the same team in such short amount of time?
Yeah, I think it kind of creates a bit of a unique. I mean, well, as everyone's used to it in school, but it's a true series, right? And you see what the team's got, from obviously pretty much their most of their rotation to their bullpen and their depth position player wise too, right? So pretty cool. You can really get match up that way, right? And try to get into the bullpen early. We talked about that yesterday, right? And little things like that. That when you're playing a series rather than just one game, one whatever day of the week. So it kind of adds a cool little twist to it that I know it, just like I said, a little extra twist.
Yeah, no, I know. For those that don't know, win one, lose one yesterday. They're at home,
Mhm.
but it seemed like you were pretty economical with your pitchers. It seemed like you maybe used only 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken. I guess just talk about how happy
Mhm.
you are with the arms that even though you might be busy and tired, you actually have some arms
Mhm.
to play with today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Joe Hart and Owen McConnell gave us great starts yesterday. Joe going 4 and Owen going 6, and then we only had to use one bullpen guy. Which when you see the doubleheader on the schedule, that's the first worry that comes into your head. I promise you, right? So especially we've been in a 16 game and 16-day stretch, but honestly, the starting pitching and the defense has been really good the last couple weeks, and it's allowed pitchers to extend into ball games and not have to use bullpen so early. So the team's been playing a lot better the last little stretch here. So it was, and yesterday was kind of summarized all that with good starting pitching, bullpen was good too, and then really good defense. That like I said, don't waste extra pitches and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Now, no, we'll get into the starting pitcher in a minute, and I
Mhm.
do want to talk about Ethan Webster. But
Mhm.
obviously with Shohei Ohtani and what he does, is Ian Heck the Shohei Ohtani of the WCBL? Do you kind of give him not grief because it's amazing what he does, but
For
just kind
sure.
of talk about it like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, he's a really easygoing, kind of lighthearted guy. So he kind of appreciates the banter a little bit. I know people call him Shohei O'Heck, right? So,
Nice.
yeah, no, I mean, what he's been doing is unbelievable. Obviously, it's his second year with us. And he was East All Star starter last year, and it sounds like he's going to do it again and hit for himself this year. Not to spoil anything, but he's earned it, and he's really a pretty freak baseball player. And he started on I guess it was Tuesday night for us, and went 8 innings of 2-run baseball, and also collected a couple of hits and an RBI, and he really is kind of the heart and soul, and it's a lot more to do with who he is as a person as well, rather than not just what he does on the baseball field. And it's really cool to see, and the guys absolutely love him. So he has no problem with the Otani or the Ohek, you know, uh,
Oh heck.
jokes.
Yeah, I gotta.
Yeah,
I'm gonna type that one out here. Oh heck.
yeah,
I gotta
Shohei
remember
Ohek.
that. He's no
Yeah,
longer called Ian Heck. He's called Oh heck.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
Now, we flip from a guy that will take the ball for you anytime you do from the starting perspective. Ian Heck, and he is listed as a pitcher officially on the All-Star game, but that doesn't
Mhm.
matter, obviously. But Ethan Webster gets the start, and it's just his second start of the year. Why deciding
Mhm.
to give him the ball from the beginning? Given he's done well for you for the most part, but
Mhm.
not from a starting position.
Yeah, well, I mean, his last couple of times on the mound, I think 3 or 4 outings total have been really sharp, and he had a really good start against Saskatoon, who's obviously a really strong team this year, and really good offense. So and it started with just obviously, like I said, we're in a 16 game and 16-day stretch, and we needed a spot starter. But he's 100% earned getting the ball again, and he's been one of our top guys the last 2.5 weeks. So he goes in. His stuff's been really sharp the last couple times out, and he's always been a strike thrower. And sometimes too many strikes was the issue, right? But we know he's going to give us a really good chance to win and go in and attack, and not make the situation bigger than it is. So he works really quick, which is the defense always really appreciates, right? So should be a lot of balls in play early in counts, and like I said, that's kind of what the staff's been doing recently, and that's how, the positive snowball effect with defense, and it's like I said, should just keep rolling tonight, hopefully.
Yeah, he strikes guys out for sure. He's got 27
Mhm.
strikeouts on the year, but also extra base hits, long balls, that'll kill you. But not guys on base as much, so that's huge. Do you want to touch on the All-Star game before we? I know managers, you got so much in your head, you're taking care of this and that on the day of to try to figure it out, especially a home game for yourself. So I appreciate your time.
For sure.
Got to mention Ryan Doffney, Noah Brooks, of course. Oh heck. Logan Kinter, who pitches a ton for you as well. I don't need to tell you. And Joe Hart. Three pitchers there: Heck, Kinter, and Hart. An outfielder in Brooks, and an infielder in Doffney. Heading to the All-Star game there. Just take me quickly through those five guys, and what do you think is the reason why they were named?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we already kind of talked about Ian Ohak, but yeah, I mean, and he's just fantastic on both sides. He's given us really good at bats, and given he goes on the mound, and he's kind of an old school pitcher where sometimes you have to force the ball out of his hand, and which is really cool. And obviously he's a senior, and he wants to just kind of finish up and throw as much as he can. But ultimately, he's also earned that leadership, right? And gives us really every single time he steps on the mound. Hart, it's his third summer with us, and he's actually pretty much been the entire career. And Ethan Webster got a chance in the spot start in a busy week, and he's rolled with every single starts. And I think this past one was the shortest start of 4 innings, but he's been 5 or 6 2-run baseball pretty much every single start. So it's been really cool, and he's a fantastic guy, great teammate, and like I say, it's really cool, really well earned, and couldn't be happier for the guy. So, and then like you said, Logan Kinter, he's been our guy to go to out of the bullpen pretty much in any big spot. And his stuff is some of the best in the league, honestly. And strikes out a ton of guys. I think he's like 36 Ks in 25 innings or 26 innings or something like that. So he's come into some really tough spots, bases loaded, nobody out, and get out of it. He's pitched in extra innings, tight ball games, all anywhere from 1 to 5 innings, so it's been he's kind of been our guy. So he's really excited about it. He's, again, well deserved. And then Noah Brooks, he's kind of just been Mr. Consistent in the outfield. Obviously, he had a really good start to the year, and had a 2 home run game and big home run in Saskatoon. But really, he's just kind of the level-headed, even-keel guy every single day. You don't know if you saw him after the game, you wouldn't know if he went 0 for 4 or 4 for 4, right? And that's really cool, and that's I think what helps him be the most consistent guy in the field almost at all times. He's also played a fantastic left and center field, and then obviously Mr. Ryan Doffney, 4th-year guy with us. People like to call him Mr. Weyburn. Yeah, has pretty much every single offensive record for our franchise. And this has actually been his best summer yet, and he's been Mr. Consistent over the years, but this year it just seems like every single night he's coming up with a big hit, or a big play on defense. And he's just, like I said, Mr. Weyburn. And, like I said, he's actually currently on a 21-game hit streak too. So just to throw that in there, which, he's been fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah. And obviously Noah Brooks, one of the stolen base leaders as well around. So a guy who can really run too. So awesome. Yeah. Well, appreciate your time on this game day here at home. Really appreciate that. Last question then for you. Got the split against Swift yesterday. You want to end that series ahead so that you can get 2 or 3. Keep the good times going there. A little bit of mojo with the Beavers. What's the key to taking down Rudy Estrella's team? Talk about a character too to coach against. I'm sure you're just looking across maybe and being like, man, that guy's a fun time. But just talk about what the key is today.
Yeah. Rudy and I actually used to play against each other too. When he was with Regina, I was with Weyburn, and that was a really big rivalry back in 2016, 2017, and so and we always talk about that, and he's definitely a character. He's very outgoing and very animated, but I know his players love playing for him, and that he always gets the most. So you got to go in with some energy early and try to get on top of ahead early. And that's what's worked for us, especially game 2. We have the energy early, have really good at bats early. Whether you score or not in the first, you need to have those good quality at bats, kind of set the game up. And I think that's the key, is just be ready to go from the first pitch. And if you can do that, then hopefully you're in a good spot. Whereas game 1, we took a while to get going. So, but yeah, no, it should be a good game. Obviously, game 3 of the series, and yeah, like I said, both teams kind of know what each other got, and you got to just kind of find a way early in the game to have some really quality at bats, and the rest will kind of take care of itself.
Well, Mr. Williams, thank you so much for your time. Make sure you come out to Tom Lang, folks. And that was a doozy. Cam, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right. Well, big thanks to Rudy Estrella, the coach of the Swift Current 57s, and Cam Williams, the coach of the Weyburn Beavers, as that is another WCBL game day show. Can't wait for this one. Swift Current and Weyburn coming right up. And also make sure you get out your phones, put it in your calendar. Saturday, the All-Star game for the WCBL should be a doozy. There'll be a pre-show for that as well with myself and Clark Monroe, and we'll send that one to Joe McFarland. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But more importantly right now, stay tuned on Flow College. Weyburn, Swift Current from Tom Lang Park in Weyburn, coming right up.